Hey everyone, Dr. Weird 28 here. Today I wanted to go over kind of what you want to consider when you're looting, as far as what items to hold on to, how to store them, what factors to consider, more than anything. In this scav run that I just did, what I really tried to do was maximize each slot. And what your overall goal is, as far as money making goes, is to think what is the most value I can get per slot. And by slot, I mean each little square for each item. Now, that could be through the trader. It also could be through the flea. It will depend on time of the wipe, stuff like that. In this scav run, a couple things that I want to point out is, number one, I made sure to fill all my gun slots with something that I found. Obviously, if I found something better weapon-wise, that would be more value, I would hold on to those. If I found something for the head or face cover, I would have grabbed something for that as well. Again, obviously, the more value or space value is worth considering. You'll also notice I don't have any of my backup magazines. So I held on to them while I was running a scav, but as soon as I saw more items than I had space for, I dropped the backup mags to find loot that was actually worth more value. Now, if you're going to use your scav more for PvP, then obviously you probably want to hold on to your ammunition, but I was going in solely to loot, so I didn't even think it was worth having ammunition or backup rounds in case I accidentally did shoot at a scav. The other thing I want to point out before I slide everything over is maximizing space. So I found a dead rogue on Lighthouse, and he had one of these LBCR rigs. Now, what's interesting is you can see that it takes up a 3x3 spot here. However, if I double click it, there's a heck of a lot more spots here. So we have, say, 2 times 4, 8, plus 16, to 18 slots right here compared to 9. So you've doubled your space just by adding this little LBCR. So you can get more value per loot. All right, so I'm going to slide this over, and then we'll take a look at exactly what we're trying to get out of it. All right. Good. All right, so when you're looking to sell items, you can sell them either to traders, and different traders will buy certain things and potentially at different values. So we'll go over that first. You also can potentially sell them on the flea. However, you have to have at this point at least level 15 in order to sell things on the flea. So I'm going to come over here. First thing I'm going to do is actually repair these, and it's just something I do. I'm trying to level my repair skill. And I'm actually going to hold on to this hollow site just because I'm going to end up using that later. All right, so we've repaired those. So let's go on over. If we go to mechanic, you can see I can get 35,000 for this AKM, 14,000 for this submachine gun. You might be able to sell some of these guns, so a prepper, not quite as much. Fence will buy pretty much anything, and he's going to be even less. You could sell these same guns on the flea market as well. It'll likely sell, but I don't know that it's worth the difference there. How patient you want to be is kind of dependent on you. So I'm going to just really quickly sell those to mechanic. Let's get rid of the armor as well. And headset. Good. Okay. So next we're going to look at something like the pox rim. So this is one slot versus these metal cutting scissors. So this pox rim, if I try and sell it, you can see it sells for about 12,000 on the flea. Metal cutting scissors sells for 15,000 on the flea. If we go to traders, Also 12,000 for epoxy rim, 14,000 for the metal cutting scissors. So because of their price on the flea, I would sell to the therapist or to the trader, just because one, you're going to lose money in a sense just because you're paying the fee for posting on the flea. So if I were to try and sell this for, let's say, 12,200, I'm actually having to pay a fee of 3,600 there. So I don't know that get posted for how much I want. Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry, a fee for 1,000 there. And so I'm actually only getting 11,000 versus I would have made more selling to therapists. You also could look to sell to other people. So mechanic in this case, he'll buy this, just not quite as much as he would have paid for, or the therapist would have paid for, 14,000 versus 12,000. The other thing to point out is this, because we're looking at per slot value, that's 14,000 for 2 slots. So 7,000 for 1 slot there, compared to this is 12,000. So it might not seem like that big a deal initially. However, as you try and do that over and over again, you're going to find that the higher value per slot, you're going to end up making more money. Something like this, nuts, actually doesn't sell for much to a trader. However, can fluctuate a ton. Right now, going for 12,000 on the flea. And all these different items have different value too. Some of them are going to be better than others at a certain point in time. It's kind of up to you. So we look at dry fuel and we'll look at a pressure gauge. So pressure gauge going for 43,000 compared to 38,000, 38.5 there. And then dry fuel going for 26,000 compared to 30,000 on the flea. So these sort of items are going to be more valuable. Now, you are going to realize just through playing longer that certain items are worth grabbing onto and certain ones are not worth holding onto. You'll also want to think about what items you need for upgrading your hideout and also quests later on. So for example, let's see. Corrugated hoses, perfect example. I grabbed this specifically for this video. So right now, if I were to go sell a corrugated hose therapist, I'm only getting 7,000. That is like 3,300 right there. Or sorry, 3,800 just about per slot for one item. That is a waste. If I try and sell that on the flea, not much better at all. What's fascinating about it is if I had the same thing at the beginning of wipe, these would have gone for about 100,000. So knowing at where you are in wipe and what the value of that item is essential, especially if you're trying to make money or if you're just trying to hold on to the item for building up hideout or turning it in for quests. As further wipes come out, there are different items that are needed for upgrading hideout and potentially for tasks as well. So you can't always go off of what the previous wipe said or what the Tarkov wiki says, but it is worth kind of trying to base it off that at least, because it changes a little, just not necessarily a ton. We'll go to, I'll post a link to, or at least we'll quickly go over where you can find the Tarkov wiki, and that tells you what items to hold on to for quests and also for upgrading hideout. So what I would say is know what items you potentially want to save for a barter. So I think you saw I grabbed a gold chain and threw that down in my scav junk box. So if I look at this, sells for just about 40,000. I hold on to them specifically for the Gazelle barter right here. This is class 5 armor, covers the thorax and the stomach. Very, very good. Similarly, I often have a bunch of the Majeka in order to do that. And because you might like a barter, someone else might as well, and that same item might hold value because of the barter. So printed circuit board, which I have here, is used for a barter for a 60 round mag for the M4. So it sells for about 12,000 right now in the flea. I believe it's similar, 8,000 to Therapist. But they maintain some value simply because of the barter. Let me see if, right here, this one. So printed circuit board and then the Geiger counter will give you a 60 round PMag or Steinert mag. So overall principles that I would say is make sure you're trying to maximize your per slot value. So your headwear, eyes, sheath, both guns if you can. Each little slot that you have, try to maximize value. Feel free to drop things as you go. So initially, I actually had 3 of these corrugated hoses on my scav run, and then as I found better stuff, I dropped them and filled up the space with more valuable. It's better to fill up than to have empty slots as you're coming out. Okay, I think that covers that. All right, so let's go to Tarkov wiki. Let's see. All right, so if you go to the hideout here in the Tarkov wiki, it actually tells you exactly what items you need and how many of them. So this seems like a lot for sure. And I don't know that I'd store everything, but you at least know, oh, I am going to need these. And whether you save them in scav junk boxes or try and keep that in mind, like early wipe, corrugated hoses, military tubes, those things are going to be much more valuable in the flea early on, or you can save them for upgrading your hideout as it is. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. Last thing, know that as the wipe goes on, different items may hold more value and fluctuate. So for example, just because corrugated hoses are really low right now, if let's say there's a sale and a lot of new people are getting into Tarkov, you might find that suddenly these are shooting up in value again because more and more people are trying to upgrade their hideout and are searching for corrugated hoses. Not that they'd shoot up to as high as they do at the beginning of wipe, but suddenly a corrugated hose might be worth like 30 or 40,000 randomly compared to the 10 that it is right now, or 8,000 right now. That's it for exactly kind of recognizing what loot to hold on to. I think through repetition, you'll know that what items are kind of worth more and more and what items are not, just from doing the repetition of the sales. You'll find certain items that you like to keep just for yourself. Feel free to leave any comment or ask any questions just about like, how do I decide what to hold on to? I'm happy to answer that, but for the most part, I think experience is going to be your biggest factor for that. But overall, you're looking to fill the highest value per slot that you can, and that other than holding on to items for quests or upgrading your hideouts as desired. I guess one last thing. Knowing that an item can be used for crafting something of more value can be useful too. So for example, a power cord, not really worth a ton by itself. However, if we go 2 power cords gives you 8 wires. And if I look at how much wires are going for, we're going for about 9,000. So suddenly I have 2 power cords, let's say, so it suddenly shot up a little bit. So 15, 16,000. And if I have 2 of those, so let's say that's 2 slots, 32,000, but then I make 8 wires out of those and worth 9, 10,000. So that's 80,000 for 4 slots right there. I think that's pretty good and can be worth value. So knowing certain crafts can be worthwhile in that way too, assuming you're using your hideout. If you're not, it might not be worth quite as much to you. It may be worth to something else. Chocolate is something else that the Avianca chocolate bars, some people use to craft sugar, and that can go up in value as well. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, we will be back with another video just about different ways to try and make money. Till next time, keep it weird.